Crime and Punishment. One of Fida's most famous novels, Mikhailovich Dostoevsky begins with, dating Rodion Romanovich. Raskolnikov, this poor young man, walks in. Worn clothes he has nothing to pay for. Wretched little room, and recently he left. Studying at the university. Out of desperation, the main character.
Sitya, going to borrow money from the moneylender, but Rodion has, and other thoughts to kill the old woman in the process of TSU, and he cannot take the money for himself. Shrug of these house. He's for sure counted how many steps he needs to go from one house to another, and knows what detail of his clot.
He's cannot be seen at the loan shark safely. Lives in a 2-room apartment, and with it, her younger sister Lizaveta Ivanovna. The latter is the complete opposite, calm and humble and ready and Arabic. Work for my sister. She looks like a shadow. Alina Ivanovna Rodion Raskolnikov carry about valued last darling. NG, thing that he has, silver watch on the way back. He looks into the money in his hands, drinking establishment, and gets acquainted with. Marmalade Sergei fate drunk. You will not envy an official from his wife. 3 children from first marriage. Ex-husband was an avid gambler and did not. Left her no Monday. Iwai to live on, and had to go down the aisle again. This time for the unfortunate official, and drunkard Tio feed her family she sent. Eldest daughter Seneca on the panel, imbued with the history of dissenters, takes a new friend home and leaves the family some coins. The next morning starts sadly. Raskolnikov is waiting for a note from his mother, then writes that he cannot help him financially. Moreover, she is the sister of Dunechka, significant debts, and now Dunyasha works as a servant, though Dunya has. Then Peter Petrovich Luzhin he will visit St. Petersburg on business. Rodion Romanov Igdart are you?
Elises that this marriage is arranged. Little sister sells herself for stability and financial peace, and also to Luzhin paid for Rodion's studies in university hero upset and funny. He decides to do everything for this marriage. Did not happen to himself, he even compares Junie and Sony Jujub deeds. 1. During the streets of St. Petersburg schismatics, again catches himself thinking about the opposite, about appreciated. He sees a lot of advantages in that. To kill her your evil will be no more, deceive hundreds of people, and build your own wealth on the misfortune of others. Horrified by his thoughts.
Andy goes where his eyes, looking falling asleep as a result in the grass, and sees a dream as he is a little boy, looking with tears as a drunkard weeps. Exhausted horses join him, comrades, and in the end men kill old and sick animal for his sake. The nag rushes, and then on the men, but the father is carrying the child away, waking up for the sake of he decides that not endure the murder, but fate wills otherwise. Raskolnikov faces Lisaveta Ivanovna and finds out that tomorrow in the evening she will not be at home for the poor young men. Everything is decided the next evening. Hero prepare for decisive
action, hides an AX under his coat and goes to house. In the process of she itself opens the door, and Raskolnikov does his business by killing her. He takes the keys and examines all the boxes and chests, take money and pledge things, and jewels unexpectedly next door. The room is heard noise grabbing an
acts for the sake of. He rushes there and sees Lizaveta. Her lips are even twisted like small children, but understanding schismatics. Her position kills her, and suddenly, young man to hear that someone is climbing up stairs and bolt the door. 2 visitors are surprised that no one answers them because the Says never. Went out of his house. Unexpected guests are about to leave for janitor, and at that time schismatics runs away to the street for the sake of he wakes up from. One saint. He tries to get rid of all traces. Crime, stolen things he hides. The same day they bring him a summons from schismatic militia is
Thinking about Dortio come in. Get on your knees to tell everything at once, but call the Euro in a completely different way about the department. The thought does not leave him. Confess to the deed torn between, the desire to tell them everything as soon as possible. He loses consciousness, returning to the
reality of the schismatics. Hurries home to hide the stolen. They follow each other like in a dream. Raskolnikov either loses consciousness or tossing about in delirium. He imagines screams and groans he is in a fever, and the cook Nastasia takes care of him, and university friend Razumikin coming to his senses, Rodion Romanovich, pay of debts and buy new clothes, then for the sake of he goes to a housewarming party. Razumikin, where the investigator is present. In the case of the murdered sisters, it turns out the charge was brought against the house painter Nikolov, who worked in this house. Youth in
colors and details. Talks about trying, restore it. Someone thinks that. The killer one of the debtors appears here. Danya's fiancé, Peter, needs him. He tries, talk about current trends, economic situation and other. Life's things for myself, food is not he. Bought an apartment which is now trimmed by the way not.
to lead and future. Mother-in-law. He paid for the rooms, of course, the most cheap things to find. Rodion is inflamed and accuses lies.